feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, help support the cause. I get everyone involved. I feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, help support the cause. I get everyone involved.
Good morning and welcome to another Nudelberg Daily Huddle. So excited to be with you guys, as we always are, but mostly because it's a Friday, and on Fridays, you know what that means. We have a huddler in the hot seat, and today we have Carla Nelson Thatcher, who is a wonderful South Florida leader. And I cannot wait for her to share her story, share insights. We get to talk about communication, which is one of my favorite topics. Joe First is here this morning already, who she works with at Hotwire Communications. So excited for all to be done today. But we have to mention the fact that I'm wearing a sweater because it is 58 degrees in South Florida. So Shay, did you break out the parka today?
I have the on-the-ball quarter zip.
The on-the-ball quarter zip, which don't forget will be available in the store, coming to you soon, just in time for the holiday season. And there's some other things that are happening, right? We're going to have an announcement on Monday about a kickoff event that you're not going to want to miss. And be prepared, because there's probably going to be some slight shifts to the show, because yesterday we got off of a call with a YouTube strategist. And as we preach to everybody else, we're getting coached and we're taking the coaching, and we are looking to get 1% better on the show. So we're going to make some adjustments. So Shay, play us the Friday music to get the Friday vibe going. And then let's come back and let's do the affirmation.
It's Friday again. It's Friday again. It's Friday again. It's Friday again.
And so, of course, Jonathan Aaron says, you guys are such wimps. Jonathan, I'm not afraid to admit and tell you that I'm not built for under 60 degrees. I'm not built for it. I've lived in it. I've lived in the teens. I've been a part of football games on the sideline that were last night, like they were dumping snow. It's not for me. And I'm not afraid to tell people about it. When it gets below 60 degrees, I'm inside. I'm covered up. I'm waiting for it to get warm again. That's how I am. Shay, let's do our mental conditioning and let's do the affirmation. Okay, today's affirmation is: take a moment today to be proud of you, proud of making it through times you didn't think you could, proud of conquering battles you once doubted. Most importantly, be proud of being authentically you and growing closer to your best self every day. If you're not doing that work, you absolutely should be. And if you need help, reach out to somebody and ask for the help to do that. Michelle said, oh my God, we got our first snow. Yeah. Anybody that's like above Kentucky, I feel like you guys are getting snowed on, and I feel for you guys. So there's lots of room for you down here in South Florida. Come on down. Now let's get to the wake up music. Let's get to the walk up music, and we will have Carla on the show to give us her story. I can't wait. Let's go.
Am I good enough? Do I measure up? Feels like a war I can't win. But I wasn't given the spirit of fear, I was given the power of love. Everything I've been fighting against, I'm gonna lift it up. I wanna be fearless, no holding back, no backing down. Fearless, because I believe you're with me now.
What a walk-up song. Welcome to the show, Carla Nelson Thatcher. Thanks for being a huddler in the hot seat.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me. This is great. Fun way to start a Friday.
It's a fun way to start every day, in case you didn't know. We do this Monday through Friday on the Nudelberg Daily Huddle. But yes, special on Fridays, especially because we get to have you in the hot seat. And so for the audience that does not already know Carla Nelson Thatcher and is going to get to know, who are you?
Well, heck, I'm a South Florida native. I'm the youngest of 8 kids. I'm sitting here in a space where I'm really enjoying my journey as a communicator with a fast-growing tech company, a real disruptor in the space, and really enjoying being back in the community that I love and I was born and raised in, and making an impact.
That's amazing. So South Florida native, love that. Love to connect with other South Florida natives. Not that many of us, a lot of transplants.
Right.
But youngest of 8.
Yeah.
How do you not get lost in the shuffle as the youngest of 8? You are a leader. You are a superpower. So how does that happen?
Well, I think being the youngest of 8 is kind of what leads to the honing of some essential skills, right? You got to be really creative to not get lost and to get some attention. And I think that's kind of where the communication journey all starts. Yeah. But I have a very loving, close family, 4 older brothers, 3 older sisters. They've got kids and kids have got kids, and I'm a great aunt. And it's a wonderful thing to be. It's definitely the family dynamic is form shaping.
Do you guys even attempt to get everybody together? Like Thanksgiving is next week. Do you attempt to get like 9 Brady bunches all together? Because that's a lot of people.
Those days are few and far between. You're a dad, and you know that really life begins to be dictated by the little ones, the next generation, and all the commitments they have, because they certainly don't stop over the holidays. They're traveling with baseball and finishing up school years. So, when we have done and recently been together as a large group has been for my mother, who's 97 years old now, and in some of her key birthdays, starting at 80, 85, 90, and then we did every one after that until she was in a space where just being around a lot of people wasn't the best idea. So,
oh, that's amazing. Yeah. So my wife and I both come from divorced parents. So just our immediate family can get to like 50 people for the holidays, but we've taken responsibility for bringing everybody in. So like, we're like, hey, look, we're going to have everybody here. If you have other stuff you want to do, you're not going to hurt our feelings about it. But we are the ones who have taken responsibility for kind of bringing everybody together and creating one big holiday. So excited for all that over the next few weeks and months.
That was me for years, and don't begrudge it for a second, because it's possible and you'll miss it. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. Okay, so congratulations to you, because you were just named a mover and an influencer in South Florida Trends magazine. So for me, first of all, congratulations about it. But what does that really mean? What does the word influencer really mean to you?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I joined a number of other colleagues in that distinction, right? And why they pick us, is up to them to explain. But I think for us, when we talk about being influencers here, it's really about using whatever experiences we have to date and whatever platforms, if that's the right word, that are available to us to foster change, to empower others. Personally, for me, it really boils down to this whole women in the STEM industry and the tech space, and making sure that they really recognize what opportunities are out there for them, career-wise, career path-wise, compensation-wise, and making sure that they feel that they have someone they can turn to help them navigate what can be some really tricky waters.
Can you dive into that a little bit for us? Like platforms, there are many that are available for people today. Being a woman in your business of communications, you've worked with Comcast, you now work with Hotwire, in case we didn't already mention that. What has your trajectory been like being in a male-dominated industry, as many industries have been over time, and how that's changed and how you've grown into your leadership role?
Well, I would say that I came into this space at a much more comfortable era than predecessors. So I had the benefit of them mentoring me in what was, originally a male-dominated world. I don't really think that that's the feeling or the environment that I'm experiencing now. I believe that ideas, there's a meritocracy, especially at Hotwire here. You know, it doesn't matter where the idea comes from. It's not about gender. It's not about even level within the organization. You know, good idea is a good idea, and you never want to leave one on the table. So I work currently in a very open and nurturing space. And I just want to make sure that women going into STEM, because there's such a low percentage of them that actually use those degrees when they
Mm.
graduate. I just want to make sure that they know that that is the world today, that they're not there isn't anything to fear about having your voice heard, or you know, being having a seat at the table, or trajectory in terms of leadership and management and glass ceilings. It really is about being comfortable in your own skin, finding your own voice, and you know, just putting all of that noise behind you, and moving forward.
So how do you get your voice heard in today's world? Obviously, you're in a leadership position now, but you're talking about leveraging your voice to help people. How do you do that?
Well, I would say that the first thing is that you use your voice appropriately, like speak from a space of true understanding and experience and knowledge. You know,
Mm.
you're not going to, there's so much opportunity out there for self-development, right? In the way of podcasts and AI mentorship and all sorts of things. You know, it started with
And
the
get on
self
the ball training.
and get on you know, but you have to not rely on those things. You don't want to be someone who regurgitates and you know, word vomits phrases that you picked up from somewhere
Mm.
else. You've got to want to do the work. And I think doing the work means, in a really big essence, being present. If you want to have a voice at the table in the tech space, work with the engineers, get in the field. I mean, my colleague Joe is watching this, and I think that this is something that he and I, you know, equally share a passion for. We at Hotwire, just our entire business model kind of forces everyone, including those of us at the executive level, to really participate in this high touch, get to know the customer sort of business model. 100%. You know, we are in the field. I talk to hundreds of customers a week. And that's not because I'm handling escalations. That's just people that I'm checking in with. And I think that all of us do that. And I think that once you really know where you stand and what you can contribute, the voice is easy.
So there's such a fine balance between getting lost in the weeds, but
Mhm.
then being in touch with the front lines in order to be a good leader. How do
Yeah.
you manage that balance?
You manage it with passion, right? I mean, the whole purpose of leading is because you want to affect change. You want to ensure that things are going smoothly. You can't do that if you don't know what the things are. When
Mm.
people say to me sometimes, I got it, I always say to them, can you describe it? Because I'd like to know I'd like to know that we're on the same page about that before we got anything, right? So I think it's really finding the it. And then when you find it, you know what you need to do with it. And it's kind of natural.
Okay, and so obviously telecom has rapidly changed over time, and just technology in general has thrown a disruptor, particularly in your industry as others. You talked about you don't want to lose a good idea. Somebody says, oh, somebody has an idea, and particularly in Hotwire, it doesn't matter where it comes from, you guys want to run with it. How do you navigate, or how do you create the nimbleness of a pretty large organization to recognize a good idea, put a plan behind it, and put it into action?
Well, the first thing you do is that you set yourself up to be wrong quite a lot, and I think it's the active listening, right? And active listening is, hey, you know, the idea is only as good as it lands, and you know,
Mm.
kind of really listening to the customers, and we do that. We pivot a lot. Hotwire was known for 20 years as being the first in many areas of this space, right? And then in a way, we kind of got away from being a first for 2 years, and we focused our innovation. We still were entrepreneurial, but we focused our innovation on honing that listening skill, on really finding multiple ways for customers to be able to reach us, talk to us, give us feedback, really putting our products and our services in front of them and doing some real testing. You know, there's bench testing and then there's the real life testing, right? And when you're running fast and you're breaking things, as you do in the tech world, when you're scaling at the rate that we are, you know, it's about being comfortable with breaking things and letting people tell you that that missed the mark and then going back and fixing it. And I think that that nimbleness is just inherited. It's kind of part of our DNA as innovators. And that's what you do in the tech space.
Prior to the show, you were talking about that uncomfortableness, right? And being comfortable in that uncomfortableness of getting it wrong or screwing it up or failing. You know, we've talked about this multiple times. Where did you develop that skill set? Where did you develop that tolerance to say, it's not about being right, it's about taking action and figuring it out as we go? How did you get that? Was it from being the youngest of 8?
Oh, I don't know so much that as just, I'm not sure it's something that I learned as much as it's something that I was encouraged to try and do. And I think that's all about the environment that you create and that you work in. There were times, Mark, very recently, as little as 8-9 years ago, where that was not me. I had to be right. I researched things to death. I dotted the I's, I crossed the T's, and I put on blinders to anyone that was, you know, having an immediate opinion about it, because I was like, but you didn't do the research. You know, I think at one of the things that's really beautiful about the space that we're in here at Hotwire is this environment to be radically transparent. And when I mean that, I mean, hey, man, I got to talk to you about something. I'm getting ready to go into this space and I don't know anything about it. That happens with me a lot on the technology side. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an IT person. And here I'm representing a tech company. There are people that I call all hours of the day and night, and I just fess up. I'm getting ready to narrate an architectural design you just gave me for a Wi-Fi deployment, and I have no bloody clue what half of this means. And I think that when you create an environment and where people are okie dokie with that, and we all know each other, we know what our strengths are. We don't admire quietly around here. We call out from the back of the room when someone needs to be reminded of their own street cred. That encouragement, that environment, you feel safe to fail, and you know that everybody's with you, wrong or right.
So we work with a lot of teams, right? And I've always said that the things that make teams great are their abilities to communicate. It's not the level of talent. It's not the organizational structure. It's not the mission statement. It is, how well do teams communicate together? You're in charge of the brand's communication, but you're talking to a lot about the way you guys communicate internally. What are some of the key aspects of communicating well as a team?
I would say definitely that, we do this thing where we sort of pull off the stripes. You go into an executive meeting and a broader meeting with leaderships, our general managers and regions, and we pull off the stripes. That meritocracy is critical, right? At some, you learn this. I think I learned this skill in television production in my early days in the news environment. I mean, you can be the expert director, writer, but the minute you sit in that talent chair, the director who's calling the show calls the show. At any given moment, you're pulling off your stripes and you're really bowing to whoever the leader is. I'm guessing there might be some similarities there in sports. You know how much I know about sports, where there's a quarterback when you're on the field. I mean, maybe they're not the greatest person to run the ball, but they got to take their direction from somewhere. And I think we do that really, really well at Hotwire, where we can pull off the stripes and we could say, okay, who is running with the ball at this time and how are we taking our direction from them? What role do you need me to play?
And do you guys really regiment how often you're doing that meeting and that conversation, and how you're, because I think that there's a combination of being structured in your meetings and having that dedicated time, but also creating that consistent flow of communication so that people are getting the information they need. How do you manage that?
Well, I could tell you at Hotwire, we hate meetings. Okay,
Yeah,
so
there you
that's
go.
one. But I tell my team all the time, don't confuse communication with a meeting.
Right.
That's not the same thing,
Love
right?
that.
Communication is, hey, this morning I got a text from Joe. He knows that I'm not crazy about doing these things, but let's do it. I'm in the same space as you. I had to do something last week I didn't want to do, but I got up and I put that smile on my face and I did it and it all works out. And I think it's that. I think it's not trying to agendize everything and wait for the perfect moment. Every minute is a teaching moment. Every minute is an opportunity to communicate and to connect. So that's kind of, I think, the way we play it here.
You're dropping just some unbelievable nuggets for people. I'm going to go back for a second for
Okay.
you. You've done other things like this before, and I did my research, as I should, before you came on the show. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was before you've spoken about core skills and having core skills and understanding what your core skills are. Can you share with people what core skills are to you, what yours are, and how you found them?
Hmm. I think core skills are the things that you find about yourself that kind of turn you on or jazz you, and then figure out a way to channel them for your professional good. And I
Mm,
think that that's, for me, this whole idea of public relations started, when I set out to figure out what I was going to do in college, because what I wanted to do, my parents were like, that's not realistic. I wanted to be a Broadway playwright. Which is hysterical now because I'm not even that into Broadway. But I think, they said find something else to do there. So I think, fun fact, I have a minor in theology.
oh,
And
wow.
while I'm not an overly spiritual or religious person, I would say that what turned me on about that is that I discovered early on that theology, whether your religion, I guess, whether you're practicing or it's just inherited and cultural, really kind of shapes the way that you think. It's really where your values are, what's important to you. And I felt that going into public relations, I needed to have the ability to understand that from a
Mm,
space. If I didn't know a person, one of the things, this is in the eras before we had Facebook and LinkedIn and the ability to computer research, just knowing what their religious background was could inform me about them in some capacity. And I
brilliant.
think that and then going into broadcasting and journalism and news, and where you learn active listening, that's a real good core skill. I love to meet people and to hear their journeys. I mean, one of the things that your dad has helped me formalize in my life is my passion to make sure that I'm connecting with people, not in a sales position, not in a brand evangelization position, but just connecting with people a few times a month, taking the time to do that. And that active listening is something that you got to practice, right? And that's a good way to practice it, because when you're in a business situation, you're actively listening for the triggers, and active listening isn't supposed to be that. It's supposed to
It's
be just listening.
just listening, right? Like that's why I told you, like, every time. So for people that don't know about being a huddler on the hot seat, we send a list of questions, but I told you before the show, I was like, there's a chance I don't ask any of these,
I didn't
because
pay
if
attention to the mark.
because if that's not where the conversation goes, that's
Yeah.
not where I'm going to take it. I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to ask the questions based on what you're saying. So are there any skills that you're working on right now that you're developing? I know that you're huge into continuous development. So what are you working on?
I think I read somewhere recently that it's called continuous transformation. But yeah, definitely. I would say the one that I'm working on is empathy. And, it's funny to me because when I have said that before, I see people kind of cringe. I think people in the professional space kind of get freaked out. Like when I say empathy, that emotional word, I think I'm like going to start building cry rooms or something at the technology center. But for me, empathy is really just kind of trying to understand where a person is and what they value and how they are receiving the communication that you're giving them, what's resonating with them. Putting yourself in another person's shoes is never a bad idea. And it's not just about making sure that my communication lands correctly with them because I'm exercising empathy, but I'm learning that it's a hell of a negotiation skill too. When you want something, having a little empathy going into it works out pretty well.
I can tell you that I've had multiple conversations with you prior to this. And then after this one, I want to have so many more just because there's so much value in what you've said today. And that was maybe the fastest 20 minutes that we've ever had on the show. Yeah. For people who enjoyed this conversation and would like to connect with you, would like to be part of one of those connections and those intentional, active listening conversations, how can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. My email directly here at Hotwire is a good place to start too. And it's not hard. It's carla.thatcher@hotwiremail.com. And, you know, if you are anywhere in Southeast Florida, we're going to run into each other. If you're at all active in your community, 'tis the season. I'm out and about, so you'll see me.
I love that. Awesome. Carla, thank you so much for being a huddler in the hot seat.
All right, let's go build something cool.
Let's do it. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Remember, the grind includes Saturday and Sunday. Do a little bit of work to help yourself. We'll be back for a short week next week with huddles on Monday and Tuesday. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Let's get down to business.
See ya.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business.